Mack, what are the differences you've seen in Miami now that Mario Cristobal has kind of implemented his scheme?
Mario hired such an experienced staff. Everybody hired's really good. They ran around. Can you imagine having Charlie Strong and Kevin Steele in the same defensive meeting rooms? I mean, that's two of the best to ever do it. And two guys that have been head coaches as well as top defensive coordinators in the country. Gaddis coming from Michigan, they just played in the college football playoff. So I'm really, really impressed with what he's put together down there. And like us, we had some new coaches. He had a whole new staff. So they will be much better after reevaluating those first 4 games and having a week off to prepare. So I'm sure they fixed some things that a new staff was trying to get on the same page with. And we'll be catching them like Notre Dame. Notre Dame was mad over the 2 games. They hadn't played well since they played Ohio State. So we'll get a new Miami team. We'll get a different Miami team, and that's fair. And it's a road game, which, you know, we've done better this year, but still we haven't been great on the road. So that'll be another new test for us.
Mack, the last year's game against Miami, Van Dyke was still pretty new when he was a freshman. How have you seen him grow from that team last year to this point this season?
He grew in that fourth quarter, nearly beat us. So he's big, he's strong, he can run better than people think for sure, and he's got a great arm, not a good arm. So I think he's a future star.
With Miami, are you talking to the offense basically in the similar ways to before the Notre Dame game, where it's, look, this defense has 4- and 5-star players pretty much everywhere?
I know we try to respect everybody that we play, obviously. Each week you look at who you're playing, what are their major strengths, what do they take away the most, what do they do a good job of taking away. And then after that, because I think to look at their strengths first is to say, okay, who do we have to, are there any game changers out there that we know we have to be aware of? Because just to run the basic play with them out there, he's a game changer. And if we don't account for him, chip him or double team him or occupy him somehow or run away from him, whatever we have to do, throw away from him, you identify those guys first so we're not planning an attack without having any idea where their strengths are from a personnel standpoint. And then when that's done, then we go into working on our matchups, whether it's in the run game, screen game, or pass game. But now we're trying to find the weaknesses so that we can ID those and make sure we get our best people on their worst people. And that's really the process every week. So really the opponent doesn't change what we say or what we do. Just the approach is the same. I think sometimes you find more game changers with some teams than others. Sometimes you find more weaknesses with some teams than others. There aren't many with Miami. They are very talented. It's a fast football team. They cover ground really, really well. They play hard. I think they are very, very athletic and very long and rangy. And so it's definitely for everybody, receiver right on down to the O-line. I think it's going to be a huge athletic challenge this week.
Miami gave up, I think, 3 touchdowns of over 65 yards passing against Middle Tennessee State. When you face an opponent where something like that happens, do they generally just stick to what they do and just try and go better, or do you see normally a lot of different tweaks to, change it in their coverage?
I would say when you cut people loose like that defensively, whether it's a run play or, you're not, there's no CRC on the screen, or there's just poor coverage on a play, especially when you have 2 weeks, you go back and usually when you cut something loose like that, somebody's making a mistake. Somebody's not techniquing it the right way. They don't have their eyes in the right place. They're not aligned properly. They get their eyes on some, of the candy in the play. Whatever the issue is, when you have big, wide open plays like that, it's mistake driven. Sound good X and O football, you typically don't have those type of plays. So for me, and I can't speak for Miami, but I would think, they're good at what they do. They do what they do. Kevin Steele is an outstanding defense coordinator. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I've coached against him before, and he's they're not going to go. They're not putting in a new package here for a couple of these plays. What they're going to do is they're going to correct. I don't expect to get the same advantage when we play them. They're not about, a good coaching staff, and they are not about to give up the same stuff that they just gave up against the previous team, particularly when they have a week to go back to fundamentals and teach some of the things that maybe they didn't do so well on those plays. You know, and again, I can't speak for them, but I don't know that let me say this. One of the most common things you do is look at what everybody else had success with against certain defenses. And I'm always careful, though. I want to run what we do. I don't care what other people are doing. I don't think that watching the other games is a bad reference. But typically, when you have 2 and 3 teams that are attacking a defense and they're winning and they have success on certain looks, it's going to be harder as the season goes on to continue beating them with the same stuff, because a good coaching staff is going to correct that and get it righted so that it doesn't keep happening. So, you know, you use things as a reference and as a resource, and then you weigh out whether or not you want to attack them in the same way or you don't. And we're doing the same thing with Miami, just like we do with everybody else.
What stands out personnel-wise or scheme-wise from what Miami likes to do when you look at their tape?
Well, they're playing 8, 9, 10, 12 guys on the defensive line. They have a lot of people that they play on the defensive line. There's a number of transfers that are in that are new faces that we have not played against in the past. So they're super deep up front. They're long, they're rangy, they're athletic, as I said earlier. And so it is maybe the biggest athletic challenge that we've had. And Notre Dame was certainly the best we had seen up to this point. I think Miami will be they'll be as good. I think they'll be as athletic. You know, they do a good job of getting off blocks. And so finishing for our line, both in protection and in the run game, will be a big part of this week. And then we've got to do a good job when we work to the second level, because they do run. So the safeties can run. Zero is a really good player. The linebackers run and pursue. And so we'll have to control the line of scrimmage, but we'll have to do a good job on second level blocks on, you know, in the run game with those guys, because they move so well.
Gene, Dyke is probably the best quarterback you're going to face, or you have faced this season to this point. What is it about him that stands out to you, at least initially?
Yeah, he's got a big arm. He can make every throw, and he's confident that he can make every throw. He can throw it all the way across the field. He's got a really, really nice deep ball. He's very, very accurate, but a lot of confidence in, you know, the balls that he throws. And obviously he's got great receivers. Miami's always going to have great, you know, athletic guys that can run and are fast. So he can throw all of the throws, right? He can throw all the deep balls. He'll take the shots. He can throw it all the way to the open side of the field, on the long side of the field, on the boundary, 18 to 20 yards deep, you know, with comebacks. He's got great vision, and, you know, he sees the field very well. He sees the field very well. So he's a big guy, you know, 6'4"ish, and he can see. But it's his confidence and his accuracy that really makes him the quarterback that he is. And when he's got time now, he can do it. So he'll be the best one. You know, he'll be one of the best ones we've played for sure. And he's confident, and they've had 2 weeks to prepare. So, but you know, again, everything comes down to pass rush and being able to get some pressure and things of that nature. Because if you don't get it on him, he can shred your defense.